What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a Q&A. That's why I'm looking down. I am looking at my phone. I've got a couple of questions here. I asked on Instagram, mostly because I was lazy and didn't feel like editing several of the vlogs that I have. Vlogs are so much harder to edit, and I've never done a sit-down video, and this is something that I really enjoy watching and something I've wanted to do for a while, and I knew that it would require way less editing, if any. If I don't make any mistakes while I'm talking, then it won't require any. So yeah, I just wanted to film a Q&A, so I asked you to ask me anything. I didn't really pick a topic, just wanting to answer whatever. So I'm just going to scroll through a couple of the questions and kind of go from there and see. So let's get started. Where do you get most of your gluten-free recipes? Okay, so this one is interesting. Actually, there's another question that I read. What made you start baking? So these two kind of go hand in hand. So I started baking because I went to culinary school when I got diagnosed with celiac disease, because I didn't know really what I wanted to do, and when I got diagnosed, I refused to never eat gluten again, because cakes, I'm not giving that up. That's one of my favorite foods. So I decided I'm going to culinary school, and culinary school is pretty much where I got a lot of my recipes, and then a lot of things are trial and error. I have these base recipes for all my basic flavors that I do the most. I have several recipes that I've tried and experimented with and added or taken away things from them to get what I really want. And so I guess it's more just genuinely trial and error than it is anything specific. I don't get my recipes from anywhere. I did get a couple of books in culinary school that had recipes in them, so I do have some of those recipes that I've used, my chocolate chiffon cake. That recipe is actually one we made in culinary school that was so good. I was like, yeah, I'm keeping this recipe. But yeah, so it just kind of depends. Most of the stuff's trial and error. I convert a lot of recipes that are non-gluten-free, and I substitute an all-purpose flour that's gluten-free. And kind of, again, it's really genuinely a lot of trial and error, because some stuff is disgusting, and certain flours are gross, and certain flours don't work right, and different things like that. So yeah. Next question. If you could go anywhere you've never been, where would you go? Number one place I want to go that I haven't been, that's top of my bucket list, is Italy. I want to go to Italy so bad. Really want to go back to anywhere in Europe. The only place I've been in Europe is Greece, and that was my senior year before I really started traveling. So Italy is definitely number one. That's where I want to go the most. It's one of those that I'm not going to get to. I'm going to go other places before I get to Italy, only because it's an expensive, if I'm going, I want to go for a good 2 weeks. So that's going to be an expensive trip. So maybe for mine and Zach's 10-year anniversary or something. Why did you choose a Disney cruise? What are you most excited for? Ooh, I like this question. We chose Disney because we're taking a 1-year-old on a cruise. And if you've ever looked into cruise lines, then you know that they're not a lot of kid-friendly, and you can't take babies. They can't do a lot of things on the cruise ships. So Disney actually has a really good splash pad. It's called Nemo's Reef, Disney. And Disney's just so much more kid-friendly. We thought that would be the best experience for having an infant. And Disney is the only cruise line that has infant childcare. It is not included. You have to pay for it, unlike the kids clubs, but for under 3. But I feel it's so worth it, because we're only going to put him in there a couple of times, and you pay hourly, so it's not that bad. You can decide how much you want to spend based on how much alone time you want. So we're going to maybe go to one of those dinners by ourselves and put him in the nursery for that. Or to go ride the water slides when he should be napping anyways. We'll probably put him in there to go ride the water slides. So that's one of the things we picked Disney. The thing I'm most excited for is to just literally eat anything I want for a week straight and see all the characters and Castaway Cay. So excited to see Castaway Cay. And also, Sebastian turns 1 when we're on the cruise. So that's just going to be super fun to celebrate his birthday. Let's see what's next. Teething advice. Well, Sebastian has been teething since he was basically 2 months old is when he first started really teething, and then he's basically hasn't stopped. He's got 8 teeth. He's had 8 teeth since he was 8 months, I think. 18 since he was 8 months, something like that. And there's really no advice. We alternate Tylenol. Occasionally we try and stay away from it unless it's really bad. He chews on everything. I don't really have any advice. It didn't really affect his sleep and stuff too bad, so I don't really know that I have any advice other than just extra cuddles. I know he really nurses a lot when he is teething really bad, so I know that's one thing. If you breastfeed, that's something that's really comforting for him. Ooh, this is fun. If Sebastian wasn't Sebastian, what would his name have been? So, his name would have been Phoenix if we didn't pick Sebastian. Phoenix was actually the name when we found out it was a boy before we told everyone else we knew it was a boy. Phoenix was the name Zach and I agreed on, but we ended up telling a couple people and they didn't like it and told us that like it was a name he would get made fun of in school if he went with Phoenix. So we were like, well, maybe we won't use that because we didn't want him to get made fun of, and like somebody said a really mean nickname that I don't remember. And so we ended up just deciding against it, which I still really like the name, but I don't know that we'd ever use it just because of that, like, karma now. So yeah, then after that, it was pretty much Sebastian was the name that we both agreed on, that we kept going back to and going back to and going back to. So we just decided that was going to be his name. Do you want a dog? Yes, we love a dog. Not anytime soon, though. Favorite recipes? Ooh, as far as baking, my favorite cake I make is my key lime cake, and I don't even like key lime cake, but it is such a moist cake, and it's such a good, like, balance. It's not too key limey. Like, some things are so lime flavored that they're actually not enjoyable, and then some things are just, like, too overly sweet when you go into, like, the fruity side, in my opinion. But this one, the recipe that I use, is very subtle, and it's a very moist cake. It's one of the most moist cakes I make, and I just think it's so good. So that's my favorite baking. And then favorite, like, recipe, honestly, Zach and I make tacos a lot, and that's probably one of my favorite foods we make. But I also really like my fajita chicken recipe. It's so easy. You make it in the crock pot. It's literally just chicken breast, and then you put in a thing of salsa and a thing of taco seasoning, and you cut it on and let it cook all day. Then you shred the chicken, and it's ready to go. And it's so easy, so good. Again, Mexican thing, my favorite food ever. But yeah, probably those. When are you having baby number 2? LOL. I don't know. We're not, like, planning, trying. If we don't end up pregnant before Sebastian's 2, we're not trying. After he's 2, that's like what we're shooting for. We definitely aren't probably ready right now. What made you start baking? I kind of answered that with the other question in the beginning. Celiac disease kind of is what introduced me to baking, because I wanted to go to culinary school because I wasn't giving up cake for the rest of my life. Breastfeeding tips. Ooh, this is fun. I did ask a while ago if anybody would be interested in a breastfeeding video, and I got some good questions, but not enough that I was going to sit and like make a whole video, so I ended up never doing that. But if you have questions or want me to, then comment down below, because I'd love to share. Breastfeeding is something I'm so passionate about, and I've had random people reach out to me, the people that I haven't talked to in like years, and they've reached out to me to ask like what I do, I guess, how I do it, blah blah blah. I don't really know. I don't really have a lot of like advice other than I'm super passionate about it, so I've done a lot of research. And one of the things that I do recommend the most, 2 things actually, is a haka. That's number 1. It suctions on, if you don't know, it suctions onto your other breast when you're nursing, so it catches your letdown. And I built my entire stash. Until like Sebastian was 6 months old, I never even used my pump. And literally I had over 400 ounces from just my haka. So that's one of my number 1 recommendations to new moms that I talk to. And then secondly is a breastfeeding class before the baby's born for you and your partner. That's one of my absolute favorite things Zach and I did when I was pregnant in Portland. It was a requirement when I was at my first doctor out there to take certain classes that were like, it was just like the program they used, and I loved it. And me and Zach both went, and it was awesome. He learned a lot about like how to encourage, how to be supportive, like how there's other ways that he can assist me since he can't feed the baby himself, how it's not just bottle feeding isn't the only way to bond with your child, that kind of thing. And so I definitely highly recommend. I think that was a phenomenal thing we did, and if you get the opportunity, I would absolutely recommend doing that. Okay, last question that I'm going to answer is, how is Sebastian sleeping at night? Sebastian sleeps awesome at night. He has pretty much slept through the night since he was like probably 8 weeks old, and with sleeping through the night, like for a while it was like put him to bed at like right around 9 and he'd sleep till 9, and that was awesome. Now he's usually asleep between 8:30 and 9, and he wakes up pretty much on the dot around 7 a.m. every day. So he definitely sleeps through the night. We have no like issues. I'm not upset about those hours, but I did love the 9 to 9 when he was doing that and sleeping a full 12. That was awesome. But yeah, he sleeps through the night. He pretty much has only really had a couple regressions, which are to be expected. The 4 month was pretty rough, but even then he still only woke up maybe 2 times a night. And I know that, like, I'm so grateful because some people have kids who wake up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a night, and then, like, 2 to 3 is, like, their normal. And I wouldn't be able to function, and neither would Zach if Sebastian had always woken up 2 to 3 times a night. And so with that, my number one tip, I guess, for sleeping, if anyone cares, is Sebastian has been in his own room, in his own bed, since he was, like, 4 weeks old. We moved him to his room, into his own bed since then. And he's pretty much been there ever since, for naps, bed, everything. Other than when I worked night shift, he'd occasionally take naps with me because it was the only way I could function. But he loves his bed. He's happy in his bed. He'll play in his bed. So yeah, that's my number one tip. I guess if your kid isn't sleeping through the night and you want them to, like, it takes a lot of effort, I guess, in the beginning to, like, get out of bed and go in their room. But I feel like it was worth it to get up and go in there because I knew at least then he was still sleeping. And I was worth it for me to get up because then I could put him back in his bed and go actually back to sleep instead of, like, being worried about, oh, is he still breathing? Like, I feel like you stay awake and worry more when they're in the room next to you, and when they're in the other room, I was able to actually go to sleep, which I feel like is backwards, but that's how it was for us. Anyways, that is all the questions that I have. That's all I'm going to answer. If you guys have more questions or like this video, I love Q&A videos because I love learning about people that I follow. If you want to see more, let me know. Comment down below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you're not. And like I said, if you like this video and want to see more, then let me know and send me some questions, and maybe we'll film another part 2. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.